Now, 3 days after the federal government denied it planned to hike the pump price of petrol, the independent marketers have raised their price to 280 naira per litre. A visit to petrol stations in Abuja shows that the NNPC retail stations maintained a pump price of 179 naira per litre, but major marketers dispensed at 180 naira and more per litre. Now, most filling stations have shut down due to lack of supply, which has brought about long queues at stations selling between 179 to 190 naira per litre. Mr. Layinka, now we understand the fuel scarcity situation doesn't seem to get any better. Now we understand also the marketers have placed the blame on the doorstep of the NNPC. But what do you make of this situation that seems to affect every aspect of daily living in the country at the moment?
The truth of the matter is that either the government or the marketers, they have just turned Nigerians into a yo-yo ball. They are playing us between themselves. Nobody is saying what is the problem. The marketers are even a little bit better. At least they are telling us that they are getting it at so rate and all that. But the federal government has kept quiet. If you remember very well, in July this year, when the price was raised to 170 to 180, the federal government came out to say that it has not approved the increment. But that price sustained itself up until this moment. So, who is controlling what? Is it the federal government that is dictating the price, or the marketers? Or when the marketers increase, I will not be surprised if this 280 price becomes a fait accompli. Because the federal government has completely dropped the ball. We are at that point that Americans call the lackluster president now, when the president is on his way out, so anything goes. There's nothing working, the president is not talking, the NNPC is not talking, nobody is talking. The marketers can even at this point sell it at 300 naira and nothing will happen. 2 Sundays ago, I bought 250 naira per litre. And from my house to the filling station was just about 10 or 5 minutes drive. I got home, I said, okay, let me go and buy and put in my jerry can for the generator. Before I got there, in less than 10 minutes, they've jacked it up to 300 naira. So, the truth of the matter is that the federal government is not telling us the truth. And that is, or the NNPC, whether you call it NNPC or NNPCL or whatever, a rose by whatever name will remain a rose. So whether it is NNPC Limited or NNPC Unlimited or whatever, they are not telling us the truth. They will always tell us we have millions of liters for the next 30 days, 3 months, or whatever. But the truth of the matter is you can only hoard what is scarce. Go outside now. There are only few filling stations that are selling. The ones that are selling at the appropriate price, you find very long queues. And the ones that are selling above 2x or 3x the price, very few people go there. And what is happening now is like the tail that is wagging the dog. Who dictates the price of fuel? If the federal government knows that it cannot sustain this price again, it should hands off completely and let us know that, okay, we have been thrown to the wolves. Then the wolves can consume whoever they want to consume. Because what is happening now is that there is little or nothing that this thing will not affect or has not affected.
Right.
Even now, if the price comes down, those transporters that have increased their transportation price will not bring it down. So what is the problem?
Okay, let's really get your thoughts on this, Paul. If the situation escalates, already we're approaching the festive season, and the marketers are saying they're getting this litre of petrol for this amount, so you don't expect us to sell at the normal or the peg of 170, 180 naira per litre. But what do you think should be done in this case? Already the NNPC seems to say, okay, we have enough at our disposal, but the marketers are saying they're not collecting from the NNPC. The portal is shut down, and every other thing, back and forth in this whole situation. Where do you see this leading to?
I think somebody or some people are cracking an unfunny joke. The whole thing is unfunny to me. Where you have the federal government saying that we have enough to last for 30 days. And then the reality is different from what we experience. You said he bought for 250 per liter. I bought 300 naira per liter twice recently. A lot of us even have to depend on the black market, because when you go to the fuel stations, you won't find the fuel. Or where you find, you have very long queues and you want to spend your whole day there. Now, we don't even know what the problem is. The problem is that we don't know what the problem is. That's the problem. The marketers will tell you that, well, the cost of getting it from the tank farms, depots is very high and all of that. I've even heard something like but the road construction has cost it. Yeah. I've heard all sorts. But the truth of the matter is, this is not new.
Right.
If it appears that there's a lull or something, things get better, there is no guarantee that 3 months from now, we will not have fuel scarcity again. There was one that happened, there was a hike around June, July. That was when it was jacked from, I think, 165 to 180, 170, 180. Now it's 250, 200, 300. What is the guarantee that it will not get worse? I think what needs to happen is government needs to come out clean. Let's know what is really happening and let's fix it. My problem, I'm also worried because this is the time you are going to have many people travel. This is Yuletide season and people will be traveling to their villages and all of that. There is going to be serious hike in transport fares. So it's just as if we are compounding the hardship of Nigerians. I think something has to be done, something plain. The government has to come out and tell us what is actually happening and what will be done to nip the situation in the bud.
And in addition to the situation that we are facing now, Paul, the former APC national chairman, Adams Oshomole, in a recent interview, tied the situation now on the previous government's inability to, fix Nigeria's refineries. But what do you make of this, despite resources that has been expended to, perhaps resuscitate these refineries?
I don't like it when APC, at this time, a government is even in his twilight, and then you are still blaming a previous government. You've been there for 8 years. What did you do, for God's sake? It is true that much money has been spent to do what they call turnaround maintenance, which did not turn around the refineries. It is true that the refinery workers have been earning salaries for doing nothing. That is true. Yet, it is also true that previous governments have been very, very negligent. That is true. But this is an administration that has been there for almost 8 years and is leaving. And then we are still hearing complaints. It seems to me that these people are not serious. That's to me. They are not serious. Yes, if the refineries had been turned around, not even these refineries, we ought to have lots of refineries that should have come up now. This will have solved some of these problems. This will have solved the problem of subsidy. We say subsidy is not sustainable. Everybody knows that because we continue with subsidy, something that we're going to have an implosion. But how do you solve the problem of subsidy? Even now that there is subsidy, people are buying fuel for 300, for 280. What will happen if subsidy suddenly goes?
Let me hold your thoughts on that. Let's quickly take this call from Kaduna. We have Hassan on the line. Hassan, please quickly go on with your contribution. Oh, it seems to have lost his connectivity there. But, quickly wrap up on your area of...
So what I'm trying to say is that we are tired of even government analyzing issues the way we are analyzing. We analyze issues here, but we don't have the power to cause a change. We can only profile solutions, hoping that they will hear us. But when people in government, Adams Oshomole was the national chairman of APC, his party is in power. When people that are in power are busy analyzing problems and giving excuses, it means they are not serious. they should get serious. That is it.
I think Oshiomhole was only being clever by half. Because PDP was there for 16 years.
Right.
You have been there for half of that. If PDP couldn't fix it in 16 years, 8 years, half time of PDP, what are the steps that have been taken by your own party to put things in place?
Right,
for instance, now, if the NNPC, since it became a limited company, have we heard that staffs have been downsized? Have we heard that? What are the things that have been done? The billions that have been voted for turnaround maintenance, what has happened to them? Who has been brought to court or who has been sacked for not doing what he or she is supposed to do?
Let me hold your thoughts
shouldn't
on
continue
that.
blaming
Let's
the
quickly
past.
take this call from Kaduna. Hassan seems to be back online. Hassan, please quickly go ahead if you're online. Good evening. We can hear you. Please go ahead. Okay, since we're having a bit of connectivity issues with you, Hassan, as soon as we have a stable line with you, we will come back with your contribution. Okay, so Mr. Oyebule, you've mentioned, these things that the government ordinarily should know, because definitely we've been talking about refineries and it's not getting any solution. We're not seeing any headway in any way, in any form. But with the constant calls for the removal of subsidy, do you think perhaps it is more practicable? Do you think that will be a solution to this perennial challenge, if I would ask?
We are going through the same old route again. Some weeks or months ago, we discussed this. And one question that the late M.K. Abiola asked in 1993 or 92, which has not been answered, is how much do we refine a liter of crude? If you have not told me, because we have been hearing since the 80s that there is subsidy, how much is the subsidy? And this subsidy continues to grow every time. Now, you say, okay, there is subsidy. When dollar goes up again, it continues to grow. You tell us that, okay, if, let's say they say that we are consuming 63 billion liters. I don't know the actual, but let's say if the government pays subsidy for 63 billion this month, next month it will grow to 70. The next month it will grow to 80. So it's just a nest of corruption. And unfortunately, we thought they were going to fix all this problem and let everything go fine. But we find out that maybe there are some things they are seeing that we are not seeing. Maybe when they were in opposition, there are some things they were not seeing, and now they are seeing it. But honor demands that if you see such things, for people to believe you, you come out and lay the cards on the table. Look, when we were in opposition, we said this, we said that, we said this. Now that we are in the seat, on the seat, this is what we can see. And this is the reason why we cannot do this. But that has not been done. Rather, you will come and blame the past government. It's like a child. Or you are 60, you are 50-year-old, you are still blaming your parents for your misfortune. Come on.
All right, we have Oluwo from Lagos. Oluwo, please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to contribute a little onto the discussion you are discussing there. Are you with me?
I can barely hear you, Mr. Oluwo.
I said I want to have. I want to chip in some points on what you are discussing. We are talking about fuel issues. But I'm shouting I'm shouting on the top of my voice now.
Well, unfortunately, I'm trying as much as possible to get a few points from what you're saying. I think when we rectify the issue from my end, perhaps we will have your contribution. But perhaps you can raise your point now because I understand.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. I can hear you now.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that if we are now buying fuel at 300 naira per liter, then what are we subsidizing? Whom are we subsidizing? Who is subsidizing who? That is one. Two, are we sure that those in charge of APC at the national level are not trying to scuttle the opportunity of Ashwaji? I'm just concerned because I don't really know what is happening. The way they are going, I think they want to make things difficult for Ashwaji. They want Ashwaji's victory to be very, very difficult. I start to be corrected. Thank you. That's my contribution.
All right. Thank you so much, Oluo. We appreciate your contributions on the show. Mr. Paul, would you like to react to what he just presented there?
I don't know. This is not about, let's not be putting everything about Ashiwaju. It's just about the fact that government has to be very responsible. You know, Mele Kyari, the NNPC boss, said that by the middle of next year, we'll stop importation. But, because
we have been hearing that for ages.
Everybody's thinking of Dangote refinery. But the truth of the matter is you cannot hang your hope on Dangote refinery. Dangote refinery is a $25 billion investment that is expected to yield 650,000 barrels per day or 50 million liters daily. The truth of the matter is that it will not still be enough. The Kyari said that if the 4 refineries are working at 90% in stock capacity, they will give us the combination of them will give us 18 million liters. So which means Dangote has to work. The 4 refineries have to work for us to probably say, okay, it's time for Uhuru. But the thing is, when Dangote is working at the refineries, we don't even know. I don't have any hope that they can do anything about it because they have been committing funds to it and nothing has happened. So I don't know what is going to happen. I'm very pessimistic, but let's hope that things will change. That by June next year starts next month.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Maybe by June next year, we will stop this subsidy thing and let's see how it goes. Maybe life will become better for us. But the truth is, the way we are going, nothing inspires hope. Nothing inspires confidence in Nigerian government. And I know that a new administration will come in then. But this current administration will be leaving a colossal burden for the next one. And that's a shame.
Honestly, whichever party wins next year election, I don't envy the party because it's going to be a real burden, Now you are living in May. You are pushing the subsidy, the so-called subsidy to June. So you want to use another man's head to break the coconut. God help them.
All right, I'll have another caller from Jos. Ada, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm calling from Jos Plateau State. Let me tell you something. There's no sincerity in all this issue about fuel subsidy and scarcity. You know, the government of the day. I can't believe my ears when I heard him saying that they will remove it in around barely a month after they swear in the next president. I mean, if he's bold enough, why can't they start removing it partially now? If you ask me, it's even better to make it maybe 250 or 250 per liter or whatever, or even the 280 they're talking about, and then let the fuel be available. You know, it's better. Why are they pretending? They know what is happening. How can somebody buy it at a particular price and then sell it lower than that? It's not possible. It's impossible. You know, so why you don't know politics? They think we are fools.
All right, that's a fine place to leave it, Ada. Thank you so much for your contribution there. We know people are really, tired, I would say, about this. It's something that is really, really, not a pleasant tale to tell. But what other options do you think we need to explore if we're to address this, incessant fuel crisis in the country? Even right now, we're preparing for the Yuletide. What can we do? What other options can be explored if we're to, put this behind us?
Well, until we clean up the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the NNPC. Because as far as I'm concerned, we have people that are doing, they have been there, they are doing a job, or they are not doing anything. Every year or statutorily, every 4 years, they are promoted. They have salary increment. They have everything. They have, so many things going for them. Yet, they don't produce anything. Then why do you continue to keep them? 4 refineries are not working. All the engineers that are employed to keep those refineries working, are they not being paid? And every year, I believe they still employ more engineers. So what are they doing? What are they employing them to do? Just employ them, go and sit down in the office, 8 in the morning, by 3:30, 4, they carry their bags and they go home. At the end of the month, they all march to the ATM and collect salary. And then you continue to suffer Nigerians. People who are not doing anything are getting paid, and people who are slaving out day and night, they are not getting anything. You go to the filling station. If they want to, even if you increase it to 300 today, in the three months down the road, they will tell us again that there's still subsidy on it. So it's all baldadas. It's all what Fela Nicola will call government magic. As far as I'm concerned, there's nobody that can convince me that there's any subsidy on anything. Because since from 18 naira to what we are buying it now, and you could keep telling me there's subsidy. Is it when you sell it at 1,000 naira that you tell me there's no more subsidy? I mean, they should kick off and get something done.
Oh, what's your final thoughts on this?
Except there is a covert plot to remove subsidy without, actually making it official, then government has to do something to solve this problem. The question to ask is, what is making the cost of transporting the fuel from the depot high? Whatever factor is making it high should be tackled so that the marketers will sell for less. Otherwise, we will believe that there is actually a plot on the part of government, or there is mischief at work. Because you can't tell me that you have enough fuel that will last for a number of days, and then I go to the petrol station, I can't find the fuel. Or I see so many cars lining up, or people holding what do you call kegs, and then the black market is thriving. Now, something has to be done. Whatever is making that thing to go high, because a lot of reasons have been advanced. You don't even know what to believe anymore.
All right, let me hold your thoughts on that. Let me take this call from Guso. Adamu, if you're still there, please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello?
Go ahead. You can hear you live. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm speaking from Guso. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I want to make a contribution on the issue of what I want to remind people of. People are expecting a kind of Christmas from a Dangote refinery that is supposed to come on stream by next year. I look at it that might not be possible as we are looking at it. Because looking at what has happened to the issue of cement, that they were saying that by the time the man got the monopoly, we will be able to enjoy the Nigerians from the cement production. I think the same thing is going to happen with the petrol. We surprised about petrol will be sold up to 500 naira. Knowing who is done with it, he's a businessman. It's not being, he has invested a lot of money in that. Something like $25 billion, and you are expecting that they're coming to sell lower than what we are being sold petrol to that.
All right, that's a fine place to leave it, Adamu. Thank you so much for your insights and contributions on the program. So finally, your final thoughts on this before we wrap up.
Adamu is right. If you are deregulating a sector, you can't have monopoly playing out in that sector. Otherwise, that person will determine, that monopolist will determine your fate. You understand? And we are in a country where sometimes the regulatory bodies, you wonder what they are doing. You understand what I'm trying to say? For example, you have banks making some deductions we don't understand. And yet there's a CBN to regulate and you don't know what is going on. You understand what I'm trying to say? Somebody also said something that if you observe these days, you know, government forced the telecommunication companies to revert the tariff. But the speed at which data is burnt is fast. And you understand what I'm trying to say? And nobody is saying anything. So if you are deregulating, you can't have monopoly.
Right.
You can't depend only on Dangote. So I agree with Adam.
Right, and that's a fine place to leave it.